What's up, He-Man fans? It's the Emerald Enthusiast of the Multiverse Musings Podcast Network, here with a look at the Mattel Masters of the Universe Masterverse figure of Sunman. I hear that this figure isn't easy to find. I am excited to review him here, so let's get a look at the package details. On the top of the package, it says Masterverse. On the bottom, we get some product information. On the side, it says Sunman, the greatest hero of them all. We get some dynamic artwork of Sunman on the opposite side, and some more eye-catching artwork on the back, as well as headshots of the other figures available in this wave. The back features a brief bio of Sunman. If you'd like to read this, go ahead and pause the video, and do so now. And now it's time to bust this figure out of the package and see what's inside. Here is the figure free of the outer packaging, but still bound to the inner plastic. Here is a look at the accessories, including this very unique looking sword, and I really appreciate the texturing on this. He comes with two alternate hands, and each one of these is on a hinged peg, and they pop into the forearms. This one is really good for holding on to the shield. Speaking of the shield, this gold paint on this sun-like pattern really pops on the red and green background. And of course, you just slip his hand into the other side here. And here we see Sunman out of the package and ready to rumble. This figure has been eagerly anticipated by Masters of the Universe collectors, so let's go ahead and get a closer look at the loose details of this figure now. Let's have a look at the lower body now. And I really appreciate the way that these boots look. They actually have a little bit of a weathered look to them. And I didn't expect that, but I think it works. There's plenty of good sculpting on these. You can see all the detail there on the front. And I really like the fact that the top of the boots are sculpted. It's not just a differentiation in paint. Of course, the quadriceps are massive, as are the calves. That's what you would expect out of Sunman. Now, this green section of the costume really does present an articulation issue, so let's go ahead and have a look at that now. So, in terms of articulation, you can get the ankles to move backward that far and forward that much. There is pivoting at the ankles, and there's also a swivel here at the top of the boot, which I appreciate that. Double-jointed pinless knees. So if you want to get him into a running pose, you can certainly do that. He does have the quadriceps swivel, and that does work smoothly, as you can see. However, in terms of the hip articulation, due to the costume here, this is not very pliable. So if you're trying to get him to kick forward, his leg only goes out that far. And he does step back more so than I thought he would, so I'm happy about that. But you really can't get the legs to move outward very far at all, so you can't get him into a side-kicking pose. As you can tell, I am a huge fan of this color palette, especially here on the chest armor. You can see all of this detail here in the trim, and this metallic gold paint really gives this figure a regal quality. Here is a closer look at the wings, and there are 2 points of articulation on each wing. One is the insertion point to the armor, and the other allows you to change the direction of the wings. So if you want to have them pointing up, you can certainly do that. You can fold them in or spread them out, and there's plenty of good texturing on these. You can see like the individual feathers that this has. This is some very fine work by Mattel. And should you choose to do so, you can get the chest armor and wings off of the figure. You just unbuckle this piece on either side, pop off the head sculpt, and then this chest piece just lifts right off. Here's a look at the torso, and we've seen this body mold before. It pivots from side to side at the waist. There's also swiveling in the upper torso here. The skin tone is very realistic, and the musculature is just magnificent. Here's a look at the back, and you can see all of this superb definition in the lats and the lower lumbar. Let's have a look at the arms now, and I really appreciate the sculpting on the gloves. There's plenty of detail on these forearm gauntlets. The paint applications are very tight. And as you would expect, he has these massive biceps and triceps. In terms of articulation, he has good movement at the wrist. He has the double jointed elbows. They're just a little limited because his biceps are so massive. But he does have the bicep swivel, and you can get the shoulder joint to move up pretty far. I've got to say that that's impressive. And if you'd like to get his arms into the big power pose, or in his case, a flying pose with his arms outward, you certainly have plenty of range of motion here. So I was able to pop off both hands easily and change them out. And here is a look at the alternate set of hands. Here's a close-up of the head sculpt, and the facial features are just excellent. You can see how lifelike the eyes and the lips look. The cheekbones and jawline have been executed quite well, and he has a very commanding stare. Here's a close-up of the hair, and this is a different hairstyle than the original Sunman figure had, but I think that it works for this figure. The head moves well on the dumbbell joint. You can get him to look side to side. You can get him to look up. You can get him to look down. And there is plenty of head tilting. So I think this level of articulation is superb. You can just slip the shield onto his forearm. It's a very snug fit. And as you can see, you don't have to worry about it falling off. And I really like the way this shield complements the rest of the armor. And this stylized sword fits very well into the gripping hand. And here we see Sunman ready for battle. I certainly hope you have enjoyed this review. If so, please like and subscribe. Make sure to look up the history of Sunman, this culturally significant action figure. And I'll be back to the internet with more action figure related content soon. But until we meet again, this has been the Emerald Enthusiast, and thanks for watching.